Afternoon to the respected dais और respected professors and हमारे जितने सारे क्षेत्रीय मित्रों, हमारे जितने सारे farmers हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं इस प्रोग्राम में। मैं सुबह से ये जो हमारे brainstorming session है इसके बारे में सुन रहा था और eminent people have spoken out here. They have talked about varieties. They have also talked about diversification. हमने काफी आगे निकल चुके हैं regarding viticulture. लेकिन एक जगह पे हम सब आज भी इसी वक्त जब अब से हम बात कर रहे हैं हमारे पास कोई solution नहीं है. Till now we have not got a grape variety which is resistant to downy or powdery mildew. Globally, a lot of research has been going on, लेकिन आज के डेट में हमारे पास डाउनी और पाउडरी, एंथ्रैक्नोज, बैक्टीरियल स्पॉट, ये सारे जो डिजीजेस है इसके अगेंस्ट पे हमारे पास कोई रेजिस्टेंट वैरायटी नहीं है. सिंस रेजिस्टेंट वैरायटी नहीं है, हमें फंजीसाइड्स और गुड एग्रीकल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस का हेल्प जरूर लेना चाहिए. जैसे मैंने बताया कि ये हमारे जो 4 डिजीज है, पाउडरी, डाउनी, रस्ट और एंथ्रैक्नोज, इसके बारे में हम जानते थे. We knew about these diseases. In the recent past, with the changing climate, since we are talking about climate change, 2 more diseases have come to the fore. One, bacterial spot, which is very confusing to anthracnose. And another which has come from this particular part of the country, about which I have been receiving a lot of reports, some samples, and that is alternative. Day before yesterday, we had a PRA analysis, pest risk analysis for a particular country, जहां पे clearly mention किया गया है कि आपकी grapes में alternaria है, नहीं है तो ठीक है तो करना क्या है. तो in all ICAR meetings, Vijay ma'am keeps on telling me कि alternaria यहाँ पे है. तो इसके बारे में इस स्टेशन को, यूनिवर्सिटी को हमें कुछ इंटीग्रेटेड रिसर्च लेना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि हमें सैंग्विन हो कि इस पे ऑल्टरनेरिया है कि नहीं. लेकिन जो डिजीज हमारे पास है उसको हम कैसे फाइट करें इसके बारे में थोड़ा बहुत चर्चा कर लेते हैं. लंच टाइम इज नियर, आई वोंट टेक मच टाइम. This is how the disease starts in case of anthracnose. And it is a disease which is present not only in Maharashtra but in almost all the grape growing states of our country. आज के डेट में, if I tell you that anthracnose is perhaps a bigger problem than downy, you won't perhaps believe me. But the matter of the fact is, it is. Previously we used to think that it comes only during the foundation pruning. Now, in the month of December, जब टेम्परेचर काफी कम है, उस टाइम पे भी एंथ्रैक्नोज के अटैक not only on leaves but we also get it in the stem. Now these are headaches. Climate change हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है, वो there are specialized people to tell me that. लेकिन ये जो डिजीज है, ये जो माइनर था, जो थोड़ा बहुत हमारे पास था, आज के डेट में शायद जितने सारे ग्रोअर फ्रेंड्स हमारे साथ यहां पे है, they will agree to this, that this disease has come up in a very big way. स्वच्छ भारत की बात करते हैं हम, हमारे रेस्पेक्टेड प्रधानमंत्री जी स्वच्छ भारत बोलते हैं, and this is what actually happens in the field. प्रूनिंग करने के बाद ये सारे जो लीफ मटेरियल है वो हम खेत पे ही छोड़ते हैं, नहीं करना चाहिए. क्यों? ये है इसके कारण. On the leaf are the downy mildew pathogen. Perhaps we will not see them. हमें तो हर पत्ता उठा के तो देखना नहीं चाहिए ना, हम देखते भी नहीं है. और यहीं से we get the major incitant of the disease. And after that, once the disease, एक बार disease, especially downy, especially powdery, आपकी फील्ड पे आ जाए, जो भी कंसल्टेंट, जो भी केमिकल कंपनी, जो भी हमारे जैसे साइंटिस्ट आपको बोले कि हम इसको कंट्रोल कर लेंगे आफ्टर द डिजीज इज सेट इज परहैप्स नॉट राइट. None of the chemicals as on date, I work with the best of chemicals, as on date gives a complete control of down mildew. So this is where we need to take a check. हमारे जितने growers हैं, ये हमें भूलना नहीं चाहिए कि डिजीज को हम आने ही नहीं देंगे. एक बार आ जाए तो मुश्किल है. कोविड तो आप देख ही रहे हो. ये देखिए, this is one of the examples. This is how the disease starts. और हमें जब प्रूनिंग करना है, प्रूनिंग के बाद ये सारे लीफ मटेरियल उठा के गड्ढे पे खोद देना है एक फंजीसाइड स्प्रे करने के बाद. पहले बोलते थे जला दीजिए, बट नाउ ड्यू टू एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज वी कैन नॉट बर्न द लीव्स. These are the symptoms of anthracnose which comes on the stem. कभी कभी हम नजरअंदाज कर लेते हैं. I was hearing sir was telling कि 3 साल हम लोगों ने लॉस किए हैं. Because when the plants acclimatize, plants are weak. और इस टाइम डिजीज का आक्रमण होता है. We sometimes do not even understand the symptoms of the disease. When I started my work on grapes, I too did not. But later with experience I found out that these disease symptoms are on the field itself. We will have to track it out. हमें खोजना चाहिए, हमें पहचानना चाहिए कि यही हमारा शत्रु है और उसी को टारगेट बेस्ड हमें एप्लीकेशन करके कंट्रोल करना चाहिए. ये जो उड़ता हुआ बात करते हैं हम लोग, मैंकोजेब दे दीजिए, प्रोपिनेब दे दीजिए, मेटिरम दे दीजिए, ठीक हो जाएगा, ठीक नहीं होता है. फोकस्ड एप्लीकेशन. और इसके लिए एनआरसीजी, 2 of my directors are here, माहिर है. We give recommendations based on label claim. Annexure 5, Dr. Shikamani sir was telling about that. Based on that, today we have been able to control the disease, but definitely not without chemicals. This is in Hindi, but I just explained. On the left hand side is anthracnose. On the right hand side is the anthracnose, and in the middle you have bacterial spot. Now this disease, they come together in the field. एक साथ बैक्टीरियल स्पॉट और एंथ्रैक्नोज फील्ड पे आएंगे. यहां से AICRP के तहत जितने बहुत सारे सैंपल्स मेरे पास गए, I have not visited the fields. I will do in times to come. वो सैंपल में मैंने देखा कि एंथ्रैक्नोज और बैक्टीरियल स्पॉट एक ही साथ आता है, and we are unable to distinguish, so we give any one. We give sprays for any one of them. Either it is a bacterial spot or it is anthracnose. But actually, both of them come together. Now this is the symptom which जितने सारे हमारे growers हैं, growers की attention में इस slide के ऊपर थोड़ा ध्यान से देखने के लिए बोलूंगा. पीछे से दिखाई दे रहा है ना? पीछे जो हमारे growers हैं, पीछे से दिखाई दे रहा है clear? Can you see it from the back? Right. So ये है हमारे बैक्टीरियल स्पॉट. बैक्टीरियल स्पॉट में यू विल ऑलवेज गेट ब्राउन कलर्ड स्पॉट्स, ब्राउन टू ब्लैकिश. देयर विल बी नो सिम्टम ऑफ एनी येलोइंग. कोई पीलापन, येलोइंग नहीं हो. दिस इज एंथ्रैक्नोज. यू विल गेट ब्राउन स्पॉट्स, बट डेफिनेटली देयर विल बी a yellow. If you get bacterial spot, you use a bactericide. What is that bactericide? Copper-based fungicides you can use. You can use mancozeb. You can use copper oxychloride, you can use copper hydroxide, you can use mancozeb. Recently the new fungicide has come up, kasugamycin and copper oxychloride, you can use that. These are all there in our Annexure 5. But never, ever use streptocycline. We will not use streptocycline in any of our plant bacterial diseases. मतलब हमारे जितने सारे bacterial disease होता है, it can happen in paddy as bacterial blight, it can happen in nimbu as Xanthomonas citri, it can happen in any of the horticultural crops for a very simple reason. The reason is this. Government of India has banned the use of streptocycline in any horticultural crops. Streptocycline is a human disease, is a human medicine. जो इंसान के लिए जो दवा है वो हम प्लांट में यूज नहीं करेंगे. So just to bring around to a couple of photographs. This is powdery mildew. Powdery mildew you may see on the leaf, and once you see on the leaf you will be very happy कि powdery mildew has come, so I can use sulfur, I can use triazoles, जो भी fungicides हमारे पास है. प्रॉब्लम हमारा तब आता है जब लीफ के ऊपर सिम्टम दिखाई नहीं देता. When we don't see the symptoms on leaf, we see the symptoms here because this pathogen proliferates after flowering. So what is the flower stalk is botanically also the fruit stalk. This is where the disease initiates, and this is what we get. Now when we have this, it becomes very difficult to control. No matter which chemical you use, whatever new chemicals you use, जैसे कि acrysio-metrophenone है, fluparum, tebuconazole, luna experience, जो नया nisodium, cyclophenamine, all these new chemicals, they can only give you a partial control after this. तो करना क्या है? 45 to 50 days after pruning, you punch in your strongest chemical. It can be pyraclostrobin plus fluxapyroxide. जो भी नए chemicals हैं, 40 दिन के पहले after pruning to 40 to 45 days, ये जो बीच में है दो systemic fungicide, both in case of powdery and downy mildew should go. That is the strategy. उसके बाद after flowering, for a residue compliant grape, we have to go for sulfur, mancozeb, mostly contacts. There are certain issues with mancozeb in the European Union for export, so we simply replace that with metyram. They are of the same group. Metyram has no issues. And last but not the least, which I keep on saying to all the august audience, use of biologicals is a must. सिर्फ केमिकल से गुड एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिस नहीं होता है. यूज ऑफ ट्राइकोडर्मा, यूज ऑफ बैसिलस, यूज ऑफ एम्पेलोमाइसिस must be incorporated in grape cultivation. Otherwise, we will never get the control of the disease. So this is what I was just talking about कि हम ट्राइकोडर्मा बैसिलस को यूज करेंगे. ड्रिप मध्ये through the drip, continuous application of trichoderma has to be given. It not only kills the fungus, sterilizes the soil, but also makes the plant stronger, like our Bonvita and Complan. So that needs to be done. If you do not have wet conditions, बारिश नहीं है, you can delay the spray of it. Otherwise, panic spraying needs to be stopped. डर के मारे कंसल्टेंट ने बोला, कंपनी ने बोला, किसी केवीके से आ गया इंफॉर्मेशन, डोंट डू दैट. वी हैव सीन इन जीरो रेसिड्यू ग्रेप्स, हमारे जो एक पायलट प्रोजेक्ट चलता है, 7 से 8 डाउनी मिल्ड्यू और 4 से 5 पाउडरी मिल्ड्यू पूरा सीजन में लगता है. उससे ज्यादा देने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है. दे रहे हैं तो हम खर्चा कर रहे हैं, और डबलिंग द फार्मर्स इनकम जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का ये है, वो हम कभी कंप्लीट कर नहीं पाएंगे. हमें तो उस तरफ ही लड़ना है. Okay, this is the problem in Telangana, which I was told. This is what happens, and the premonition is, लोग सोचते हैं कि ये alternaria है. Scientifically, मैं बोलता हूं ये alternaria नहीं है. To me, it looks like down. Now, whether it is downy or alternaria, क्योंकि alternaria will definitely give some symptoms on the leaf. इतना भयंकर, we cannot have this much of a loss, total bunches being drying up, unless and until we have some symptoms on the leaf. Symptoms on the leaf, leaf के ऊपर जब symptom नहीं है और आपको ये हो रहा है, मतलब ये downy का होने का chances ज्यादा है. तो जो हम alternaria सोच के लड़ रहे हैं, वो actually alternaria नहीं है, downy है. So we need to have some more investigation on this. This is again what happens if you have an untimely rain. Water should not be there in the bunches. If water is there and you start applying fungicides, you will have more problems. We had this in Sangli this year. So what you are going to do is, if there is a water like this, you first dry the water. There are certain chemicals like Vetsit, which you can apply. It will dry off the bunches, it will dry off the leaves, and then apply your systemics. Otherwise, this is what happens. Use of adjuvants. One more strategy which NRC Grapes continuously says. कोई भी स्प्रे के साथ आप एडजुवेंट जरूर यूज करो सिलिकॉन बेस्ड. वो केमिकल को स्प्रेड करने में हेल्प करता है. This is the list of fungicides which is there in our annexure 5, but I'll still mention. These are fungicides which are high risk fungicides. Means if you are applying them, there is a chance of resistance development. Recommendation is use of these fungicides, the CA fungicides, dimethomorph, iprovalicarb and mandipropamide. In the later stages, you can use cymoxan and mancozeb. And in the last stage, you can always use potassium salt of phosphorus acid and phosphatidylate. This will make your crop residue compliant. For powdery mildew, these are the fungicides which we recommend. Sulfur, of course, is the major one for powdery mildew. It also controls mites. My entomologist scientist tells me. Besides that, you can always use these triazoles, and these are the two specialized chemicals for powdery mildew. Metraphenol, which is brand name as Acrasio, since it's a proprietary product, I can tell the brand name. And this is a flupiron tebuconazole, which is Luna Experience. Okay, this is the point which I kept on highlighting. You should be using a lots and lots of biologicals. This is the one which we need to do. In addition, use of chitosan, use of ozonized water. ये बारी-बारी से आपको देना पड़ेगा. Director साहब was talking about berry cracking. Berry cracking colored variety का एक major issue है. So, if it rains or if you find that disease might come, what you can do is apply a round of chitosan. This will form a protective layer over the berry और cracking को नहीं करने देगी. Moreover, it controls a bit of powdery mildew as well. These are the new fungicides which have just been, given the label claim. Fluxapyroxide difenoconazole, that's Merivon plus, Benalaxil mancozeb, that's Fantigare. Casugomycin copper oxychloride, this is the only bactericide which is given by which जो CIB-RC ने मान्यता दिया है. Streptocycline नहीं, हम इसको यूज करेंगे for bacterial spot. Amisulbrom and Cyazofamid, these are QII fungicides, typically against downy mildew. You can see the doses are pretty low. So these are the speciality of what we say this is 2750. Here it comes down to 200, Cyazofamid, Ranman. It's a Japanese molecule. And of course cyclophenamide, which is the newest fungicide for powdery mildew. Okay. I'll just come down to some of the, yes, this I have already mentioned. This is an example which जो हमें सब देखना चाहिए. हम सिर्फ केमिकल देके इसको कंट्रोल करने का कोशिश किया. Of different diseases. It has powdery, it had anthracnose. Disease control हुआ, but this is the status of the plant. Just by that side, we had used chemicals with botanicals and biologicals. The greenness of the leaf never went away. So, the question is, only chemicals doesn't do, only biologicals doesn't do. There has to be a hand-holding. Otherwise, we will not be able to grow healthy grapes. Besides that, our website, because there is no package of practice for grapes, to be very frank with you. Every week, every month, there is a change of temperature, humidity. So NRC grapes never gives you a package of practice. We can give an outline. And every week in our website there is an advisory where all our scientists put their input, seeing the automated weather system, the weather conditions, which are that what should be the humidity, what should be the sprays, what should be the fertilizers, what should be the nutrition. ये देख के आपको एक guideline मिल जाएगा, and that also covers quite a lot of Karnataka as well. Andhra Pradesh, if I'm not wrong, Hyderabad is also covered. So उसमें से आपको एक guideline मिल जाएगा. We keep on giving advisories with the government, as the director sir has just now said. We don't have any extension scientists. All our subject matter scientists become extension scientists, and we're happy to do that. Besides that, if you have any queries, any questions, you can always call us. We are always there for you all 24/7. Thank you. Jai Hind.